It's an exciting time to be a Warhammer 40k fan. Rogue Trader, Space Marine 2, and Darktide continue to release amazing updates, and we'll have our hands on Mechanicus 2, Boltgun 2, Dark Heresy, and Dawn of War 4 within a year. Let's not waste any time, I just want to jump right into it because there's so much news to cover. Starting with what I think is the biggest news on the list, Rogue Trader has just launched its 1.5 update, and it basically overhauls the balance of the entire game. 1.5 completely reworks the game's origins, archetypes, and it provides a lot of much needed balancing to the gear in the game. On top of the new playstyles and new characters introduced with Rogue Trader's most recent 2 DLCs, this makes Rogue Trader an extremely replayable experience. And this update lays the foundation for Rogue Trader's next 2 DLCs, which we're going to be getting in 2026. Rogue Trader is the only narrative-driven 40k game where your choices actually matter. So as we get more characters and more story in these upcoming DLCs, I'm going to be playing the game a ton. And speaking of games that I play a ton, Space Marine 2's Year 2 is well underway, and so far we've gotten 1 operation, 3 new weapons, a new PvP game mode and map, and heroic weapons. So far, most of these heroic weapons are a straight upgrade when compared to their relic counterparts, but there are also some that basically act as Saber releasing half of a new weapon, or the developers simply introducing another way to use the weapon, like with a different playstyle. What I'm most excited about this year is that each patch is introducing a new operation, and the new Tech Marine class is releasing in early 2026. And the Tech Marine is going to be completely free. In fact, everything that I just described releasing for Year 2 is going to be completely free. The only thing that you have to pay for are the chapter-themed cosmetics that are part of the year's seasonal pass. If for whatever reason you don't want to buy the entire seasonal pass, but you still want to get some of these chapters' cosmetics, you can actually just buy that specific chapter's cosmetic pack. Or if you don't care about any of this, then you don't have to buy anything. You're still going to get the new operations, the new weapons, the new heroic weapons, and the Tech Marine all for free. Since Space Marine 2 is going to be supported until Space Marine 3 releases, that's some insanely good value for just having to buy the base game. And since we're talking about great value, we may as well talk about Darktide, which recently had a huge class revamp for the Veteran, Zealot, and Psyker, bringing them more in line with the Ogryn and the Arbitos. For the rest of 2025, we're going to be getting new content for Darktide and for Vermintide 2, and we're even getting a new class for Darktide, which has been announced but not revealed. The reveal is actually going to be happening on November 11th. Recently, I actually got with Darktide's resident lore master, Joe Plays Games, and we spoke about what new classes could potentially be coming to Darktide in the future. Check that video out in the pinned comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and consider becoming a member because I'm getting really tired of just eating corpse starch all the time. Next, let's talk about our release lineup for 2026, starting with Mechanicus 2, which is actually playable right now. If you're part of the PC Master Race, then head over to Steam where you can play the demo, which is basically just the game's prologue. I've got to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of tactical games, but Mechanicus 2 is shaping up to be one of the best looking and best sounding 40k games around. Not only is Mechanicus 2 really leaning into its art style, but it's also pumping up graphical fidelity, and the soundtrack is insanely good. In Mechanicus 2, you're going to be able to play as both the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Necrons, but the game is also going to be featuring Warhammer 40k's first portrayal of the Leagues of Votann in any 40k video game. The kin have some of the coolest models on tabletop, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like in a video game. Circling back to Alcat, Dark Heresy has a 2026 release, but alpha testing is starting on December 16th. This game is basically promising to be a better version of Rogue Trader in every single aspect. The game's going to be fully voice acted, it's going to have better balance than Rogue Trader, which is really important because it's a CRPG and balances everything, and it's going to have a much more grim, dark narrative. It looks like the Night Lords are going to be the primary antagonist of the game, which has me extremely excited because their omnibus is one of my favorite trilogies in all of 40k reading. But on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from reading lies Boomer Shooters, and speaking of, Boltgun 2 is also releasing in 2026. One of the coolest things about Boltgun 2 is we're actually going to be able to play as a Sister of Battle, but surprisingly, this isn't the first time where we've been able to play as a Battle Sister in a first-person game We just don't like to talk about that other VR battle sister game. In fact, just forget I even said anything about it. Don't go looking for that other game, it's complete heresy. And last but certainly not least, we have Dawn of War 4, which is also going to be releasing in 2026. In this iteration of Dawn of War, you're going to be able to play as the Space Marines, Adeptus Mechanicus, Orcs, or Necrons. And the game is going to be packed with tons of content. Not only are you going to have multiplayer, but the story is also going to be packed with 40 minutes worth of cutscenes, and we're going to be getting the Last Stand game mode on release. Additionally, this game isn't being developed by Relic Entertainment, it's actually being developed by King Art Games, who basically promised to bring the series back to its roots. And from what I've seen so far with base building and the combat director, which is basically just an evolution of sync kills and the huge focus on content, it looks like King Art Games is gonna do a good job. And this isn't all just hopium because the Blood Ravens are my favorite Space Marine chapter. Anyways, let me know what you're looking forward to the most in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your viewership. This has been Mechanicus, and I'll see you in-game. The Emperor protects.